Mr. Glockner? Mr. Swindell?
Here.
Mr. Sanders?
Here.
Mr. Horn? Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum of 4 people, but would you like to officially appoint Mr.
Yes,
Sanders? as
absolutely. I'd like to go ahead and appoint Mr. Sanders for our alternate position today, and he'll be a voting member today. Okay. Just have a little housekeeping now as far as announcements are concerned. First off, please, and I'm guilty of this too, please silence all your phones and electronic devices so they don't go off during the meeting. Any appeals, the aggrieved party may appeal a decision to the Board of Adjustments District Court. That's the 22nd Judicial. We have speaker cards up to my right, your left, on that podium area there, or area to the left. Also, please, when we're done with each of the, well, one more thing, public speaking, we'll have 5 minutes per side, 3 minutes for additional comments and rebuttals. And then the last thing is, once we're done with your case, if you wouldn't mind exiting the building and actually moving out past the corridor and the entrance, so that we don't disturb any of the other folks as they're meeting or their cases are coming forward. So with that, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our April 1st, 2025 meeting. Anyone?
So move.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Sanders. Second, anyone?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by, second by Mr. Daly. Any discussion, questions, or anything, comments? Okay, please, if you would, vote with your electronic devices.
All in favor, motion carries.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so our first case of the day will be Board of Adjustments case number 2025-4172. And Madam Secretary, if you would take that away, please.
The objective of the request is to allow for the construction of a 13 by 15 or 195 square foot carport within the required 25-foot front yard. No evidence or practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship has been submitted to support the requested variance.
Oh, okay. Madam, I need to actually read that into the record. I do apologize. Okay, so, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do we need to remind them that we only have 4 voters?
Yeah, we did. Thank you very much. It's been brought to our attention, we only have 4 voting members here today, and as such, that would require a unanimous vote for any of the cases to pass. So anyone who's wishing to postpone their cases till the next meeting where we have a full voting block of 5 is welcome to do that at this point in time. Just let us know as your case comes forward, and we'll be glad to do that. All right. Also, too, I'm a little remiss. I need to go ahead and read this portion of the information into the record. So, request by an applicant in a S1 single-family residential district to reduce the front yard setback from 25 feet to 18.6 feet to allow for a carport to extend within the front yard setback. The property is located at 1940 Salt Street, Mandeville, Louisiana, and the applicant and representative is Amanda Brammer. I hope I said that right. Brammer, okay. All right, so we're all set?
So the comments have been read, so Mrs. Bremer, you're welcome to come up front to the podium.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
Me too.
The speaker cards, am I supposed to do something with those cards?
We already have your information.
Oh, okay, sorry. Hi, yes, I'm Amanda Brammer. I'm the owner of the home, and I have with me Dennis from Gulf Coast Patios, who is the contractor that I hired to construct the carport for me. And I did apply for a permit, which was denied because of the variance issue that we're here to discuss today. So as was read, I would like to reduce the setback in order to construct a small patio, which would be attached to my garage. I believe it's just a handful of feet that we're requesting as far as reducing the setback. And that is because I have myself as well as my 2 adolescents living in the home, and now they're college students. They also have vehicles, and I would like to be able to park a car under a small carport. The carport that I'm constructing or requesting to construct is exactly the length of my CRV and my daughter's Civic. So we really just want to be able to park under the carport so that we don't get wet when we get home, you know, and things like that. So that's my request. I think Dennis could probably explain more about the numbers if that's necessary, as far as the distance to the street and so on.
If you like, sure.
Yeah, so the distance from the street to the structure is about 50-something feet.
Mr. Dennis, would you
Yes.
mind identifying yourself with your complete name and address?
Dennis Gerard, Gulf Coast Patios.
Thank you.
Address is 514 West 22nd Avenue, Covington,
Thank you.
70433.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, we're about 53 feet from the home to the street, and then beyond the 25-foot setback, she'd only be able to build about an 8-foot patio cover. So we're looking to come out 15 feet, which is about 6.5 feet past the variance. The posts themselves would only be about 3 feet past the variance. And that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anyone in opposition here today? Okay, having seen no one, any questions from the board?
I'm sorry, can I say one other thing?
Okay, sure.
Sorry. I obtained letters from my two next door neighbors stating that they do not object to the construction of the patio cover. I was under the impression that that might help if no one was an objection, and my two immediate next door neighbors were happy to write some letters for me.
Okay,
I'm sorry
thank you.
to interrupt, I forgot about that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so any comments, questions from the board?
Yeah.
Yes, sir?
Is there, do you have a neighborhood association?
We do not. So the only person I'm in understanding that would object would be my neighbors or anybody that read the sign and had an objection, and I don't think that there were any.
Okay. Anyone else?
Sure.
Okay, Mr.
Can I
Daly? Okay.
The neighbor, I guess that's to the north, that garage is built to the setback line. Do you know if that's true?
That's very close to it, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Based
So
on
that's
my
that's like our
measurements.
perspective of
Right.
knowing how far to go. Yeah, I mean, it's challenging because it's sort of, it's far from the street, but the setback's there because the street could be widened. So
Okay.
that's sort of like, even part of your driveway is actually in the setback area. Oh, thank you. So, yeah, I'm struggling because it's hard because then it's like everyone can exceed the setback, which is sort of a safety issue, especially on a semi-major street. But, so I don't know. I guess my biggest problem is the difference between say a 9.5 or 8.5 foot versus a 15 foot. And that, you know, that difference to me, I guess, isn't big enough to warrant providing the variance because due to the other factors around just making sure there's clearance and visible clearance for the street and space within the setback. So I don't know. I am struggling right now.
Okay.
So could I say a couple of things? I don't really know if I'm breaking protocol
No,
for
no, you're
meetings
fine.
by
No, no, no,
interjecting. I'm sorry. This is my first time coming to anything like this. So one is that, you know, that neighbor's house really actually does come out pretty much to the same place that the patio would come out. And they're on the corner. The house that you're referring to. The other thing I wanted to mention is about the potential widening of the street is that I'm really only asking to come out 13 or 15 feet from my garage. And if the street was ever widened to the entire width of the variance or even up to the level of the patio cover that I'm requesting, then the street would be like 15 feet from my door. I would lose my circular driveway. I would lose... Basically, I wouldn't even have enough space to park my one car where I'm parking it now. Like the patio cover is exactly the length of my car, which I'm putting in that spot anyway, it's just exposed. If it ever did widen that far, I would have like literally not even a spot in my yard to put my car. So I understand the servitude, but you know, The other thing is, I don't know if this matters, but if that ever did happen, I would just tear the carport down. I mean, it's not a real super permanent structure.
Okay,
Just don't want to get wet when I bring my groceries in.
understand. Okay, well, thank you very much for that. Anyone else?
Yeah, I've got one question maybe for Helen. 2 houses to the south, 3 houses to the south, there's a house with a carport exactly like the one she's asking for.
Actually, that carport's longer than the one I'm asking for.
Okay,
And it's
well,
3 houses down, but
I
thank
didn't
you for
measure it.
bringing that up. Yeah, thank you so much, actually, for bringing that up.
So what I'm curious is if that was permitted.
It's not.
It's not, we checked.
Yeah, okay.
There's one
I
in the
mean-
in the other direction, I guess that's to the north, I didn't realize that, but there's one in that block also, one less than a block away from me in the other direction as well, there's a carport.
Look, I'll tell you, seeing as though there's already one there, permitted or not, and both of your neighbors are okay with it, it fits the style similar to other things that are already in the area. You know, I do understand what Mr. Daly's saying, but I'm in support of it, so I'll vote for it. I think it's reasonable.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as requested.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Swindell.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Sanders. Any other further discussion? Okay, all right, please vote with your devices, please.
All in favor, motion carries.
All right, there you go.
Thank you so much,
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it.
You bet.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one here. All right, our next case is BOA 2025-4173, and it's a request by an applicant to allow for an accessory building or guest house to be constructed in the front of the main residence. And the applicant is Will and Megan McGee, and representative is Linda H. Arendt. Did I say that right? Okay, great. If you come forward. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Miss Helen, you go ahead and read the case
The
yourself.
objective of the request is to allow for the construction of an 800-square-foot guest home in front of the main residence. The attached drawing shows that the residence is located approximately 400 feet from the rear property line, which appears to provide sufficient space to construct the proposed guest house. However, there's a significant drop in the rear leading to Bayou Rouville, which prevents the construction of the proposed guest house within a rear yard. As shown in the attached pictures, the proposed guest house will not be seen from Anchorage Road, considering that the front 800 feet of the property is heavily wooded. While there's no objection to the location of the proposed guest house in front of the main residence, the guest house will be subject to the maximum allowable height for an accessory structure and to the front and side yard setbacks required under the L1 large lot residential zoning district.
Okay, thank you. If you would come forward and state your case, please.
Hi, I'm Will McGee, my mother-in-law Linda Arndt. We're just like, you know, like you read it, I mean, we're just proposing to build an accessory dwelling for my mother-in-law. It's 800 square foot. The way our house sits, it's a significant drop behind the house. It's not suitable to build on. And as far as the building to the side, the lot is very long and narrow. It's 229 square foot. If we put it to the side, we're gonna be kind of infringing on neighbors' properties. I mean, there's really no, place to put it except in the front. And it will, meet as far as setbacks from neighbors and things, no problem. It's heavily wooded. It's not gonna be visible from the street. It'll just be located off the existing driveway, just kind of a little side entrance. And, I mean, that's basically it. I mean, it's really the only place we can put it.
Okay.
I don't really
Anything?
have anything to add.
Okay.
I mean, just what we submitted is
Okay, fantastic, thank you.
We
Just
had
stand by just a
architect
second.
Look at it, and we tried to put it in the widest area that, from neighbors, that you could build in, and, so I did include an architect site map to show where it is, so really don't believe it's gonna be in the sight of anybody around.
Okay, all right, well, thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience that has objection to this case? Okay, I don't see anyone out there, so with that, I'll open up questions from the board. Anyone? Oh, Mrs. Swinjall, go ahead.
I don't have any questions, but I think we approved one similar to this a few months ago, right? Where it really made sense. I mean, at the end of the day, the Unified Development Code can't address every possible scenario. And I think the reason why this board is here is to make reasonable exceptions. And this is quite reasonable. So you'll get my vote.
Right. Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I was just gonna reiterate that there are a couple of these that we've approved where instead of being in the back, it was in the front due to the shape and staying out drainage and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's pretty consistent with what we've decided in the past.
Okay. All right, Ms. Sanders, you, nothing? Okay, great. I mean, I totally agree with what has been said. We have in the past granted these types of variance requests for those, and it is like a topographical type variance or hardship that's presenting itself to be able to place that building and structure in a place that makes sense. What are you going to be using the structure for? Just
A home for Miss Linda.
okay, great. No commercial purposes or anything
No,
like
sir.
that. Okay,
No, sir.
all right. Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion for this case.
I'll move that the request be accepted as read.
Okay, motion by Mr. Sanders and a second by Mr. Swindell. Any further discussion or comments? Okay, let's vote with our electronic devices, please.
All in favor, motion carries.
All right, congratulations.
So much.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Okay, that brings us to our last case for the day. It's BOA case number 2025-4210. It's an after-the-fact request by an applicant in a L1 or large lot residential district to appeal the decision of a parish official in regards to section 900-6.5 A2B. Net fill shall be strictly prohibited in any critical drainage area. Request to allow for fill to remain on the site and for the placement of additional fill without mitigation to complete the construction of a single-family residence. The property is located at 206 Mattingly Lane, Madisonville, and the applicant representative Rashad and April Henry. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. And staff report, please. Thank you.
A building
Can I do
permit
it
was
again?
issued in June 2022 to allow for the construction of a single-family residence on the property. The permit was issued subject to the approved fill plan, which is attached to your staff report. Before final drainage inspection can be scheduled, an as-built drainage plan must be submitted for review. The as-built drainage plan must be in compliance with the originally submitted and approved fill plan. I also included here in your staff report a list of the information that is required to be provided on the as-built drainage plan to verify compliance with the approved plans, which is listed under the bullet points on your staff report. According to the attached document provided by the property's owner's engineer, the critical drainage map and coastal zone layers contains inconsistencies, and the property should be considered coastal and not subject to the aforementioned no net fill requirements. In regards to the additional information, as per attached coastal layer exhibit, the property is directly abutting the wetlands and marshal adjacent to Lake Pontchartrain. The attached engineering report provided by Mr. Kelly McHugh, civil engineer, provides historical information and engineering justification as to the reason for this property to be considered coastally influenced, and that fill would have a minimal impact on the surrounding properties and overall basin. Should the board be in favor of the requested variance and agree with the determination from the engineer, Mr. Kelly McHugh, it would allow for the fill to remain on the site as currently constructed. It would allow completion of the construction of the single-family residence. It should be subject to submitting an as-built plan prior to final drainage inspection indicated no adverse impact to the adjacent properties. Should the board not be in favor of the requested variances, it should be subject to the property owner constructing the property in accordance with the no net fill ordinance and the originally submitted and approved fill plan. Also, I emailed you a copy, but also gave you a copy of the information in regards to the placement of fill. And we also have here present Mr. Ted Reynolds. He is the Assistant Director of the Department of Engineering, and he can answer any questions you may have.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, Council.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name's Jeff Shane, and I have the pleasure of representing Mr. and Mrs. Rashad Henry, who are the owners of the property and the applicants. Mr. Henry is seated with me in the front row. I also have our engineer that we have been consulting with, Mr. Kelly McHugh, and I appreciate Mr. Reynolds joining us this afternoon because a lot of this really falls within things that he deals with on a regular basis. I'd like to start with a general summary, and then we can kind of dig into particulars as necessary. Mr. and Mrs. Henry are constructing a home to the rear or south side of Claiborne Oaks subdivision, which many of you may be generally familiar with, west of Madisonville. And in fact, their lot is along the southern perimeter and backs up to the low-lying marsh areas that run out to the lake. And it's a somewhat sad story in the sense that their home is currently certified to be at a 97.8% completion, and it has been that way since last summer, and they have been unable to complete the construction of their residence in large part due to the issue that has arisen and is the subject matter of this variance. In simple terms, we believe, and I think you may hear support to this proposition from your staff today, that this particular area of Claiborne Oaks was not classified as coastal or within the coastal zone, as was the rest of the subdivision and also that whole area running south to the lake. What is the import of that erroneous, if it is erroneous, classification? In the coastal area, it's been determined by the parish that the placement of fill is of no concern because you're in an area where the placement of fill will not negatively impact anyone. It doesn't create flooding, it doesn't deter the rate of run to the ultimate disposal, which is the lake. It's sad that this lot apparently is the only lot that becomes the victim of what I'm going to refer to as a mapping error. If I'm mistaken, I'm sure I'll be corrected, but I want to continue to say it is an error. And so when Mr. McHugh first got consulted, he not only investigated the site and the situation, but he consulted with staff to confirm that they too believed that in all likelihood this area should have been classified as coastal, which would mean that there would be no restriction on the amount of fill placed on the lot, and that the drainage, which is front to rear, would allow drainage into the marsh and ultimately into the lake. The parish, because of this error, has required that the fill dirt that's been placed on site be redistributed or taken out, or that the area behind the home going south, that there be excavation even into the wetlands area, which would of course require a permit from the Corps, so that you could achieve a more no net fill status. Having gone to the site yesterday for the first time, I had to see it to actually understand and believe it, but picture hopefully just what I've described, and that is the necessary fill is in place for this beautiful home, multiple seven figures, I assume, surrounded by homes of similar setup in terms of elevations, etc. And so the request we make to you today is that if you provide a variance that would waive the requirement that Mr. and Mrs. Henry reach the no net fill requirement, it would allow them to complete their home, and we believe without any negative consequence to anyone. Now, the handouts that I gave you earlier are suggestive of those in the neighborhood and others that have signed a petition in favor of the variance. And notice that I've also given you a map with some green dots, and I see that I'm about to go through my time, so I would respectfully ask maybe another minute or two.
I think it's warranted considering the complexity of what's going on here. Anyone, any objections to that? Okay, yes,
I'll
sir.
try not to belabor it, but I just want to
Okay.
make sure I get the facts to you.
Of course.
So the idea behind the map, though, was I told Mr. Henry that, you know, typically I know the board likes to know how does the neighborhood feel about these requests. In your packet, there is one letter of objection, and for that reason, the board of the HOA decided not to take a position. So I suggested to Mr. Henry that he go to his neighbors, which he did. Those green dots represent the people that have signed this petition of support for the variance. I wanted you to know that his immediate neighbors are on board. And although I don't have time, I would suggest that you either take the time, if you have not already, to carefully read Mr. McHugh's report, which in my view summarizes hopefully what I have more generally verbalized. But I mean, the incredible, minuscule impact of the dirt that has been placed on this site as it relates to the basin suggests that there's absolutely not going to be any harm to any other properties, etc. So knowing that I've taken the allotted time, I'll rest, but I would also ask that as you get into conversation, if you have questions of myself or Mr. McHugh, please do so, because we would very much like to get this variance today if at all possible.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Anyone in the audience that objects to this case? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to hear from our staff now in terms of your report, and also if you could address the issue of why this was denied previously.
Sorry about that. Yes, sir. I think Mr. Shane did a pretty excellent job summarizing it up, but to kind of elaborate not on this particular location or this particular mapping effort, but more of a globalized crossing Tammany. The engineering department is currently going through a multitude of different revisions to our critical drainage map. There has been instances in areas that were either I don't want to say done incorrectly, but could have been done with more particular study in mind to more refine and fine tune those maps to where certain areas would actually fall within and without of it. We're doing pretty big initiatives with the Louisiana Watershed Initiative. That's a modeling effort, as well as the Parish Council allocated some funding for this year to go ahead and actually study some of the areas of the critical drainage map that need to be refined, corrected, or updated based on either old data, new data, or lack of data. So to Mr. Shane's point and Mr. McHugh's report, this one does seem to be like it's, if you look at the exhibit, that's a shaded area and it has lot 9 and it's kind of red and has this gap looking at coastal area. It is just that. It is a gap where the coastal area stops at a hard line, starts at a hard line east to west, which is very, very rarely seen in maps, especially on a coastally zoned property. The only other influencing factor through there would be the Black River, which does play a riverine effect in there. So before the engineering department would make just a modification to connect those dots, if one would speak, we would want to study the effects, like we just mentioned with the Louisiana Watershed Initiative and some of our other studies we're performing, to accurately reflect and model that area before we just say connect the dots here to here. Should some of those dots be connected? I believe so, and I think our reports and our studies would confirm that, but I don't have that yet, so if you ask me what is the recommendation, I can't tell you that yet. However, you would notice on that same exhibit that a portion south of Maddington Lee Lane is in the coastal area. So no more than 3 or 4 doors down from Mr. Henry, the property 3 or 4 doors down to the east is actually in the coastal zone. So would not be subject to this no net field, not but a couple hundred feet to the east. So that's why they're, I guess if you would, petitioning the decision of a parish official, which is no disrespect or anything like
Of
that.
course.
There's just something seems off in this area, right? It probably more should have been caught at the permitting stage of this development, where we'd say, hey, why are we going to permit and issue a permit in this scenario and not review this? But a lot of times we'll look at a layer, the layer says these are your criteria, you design the plan and go build. Well, it's not until you get into the hard dollars and costs where a lot of these questions kind of get brought up and asked, right? So to speak to the after the fact aspect of it, that's probably why we're here now and not why we're here when we're issuing the permit, so to speak. With all that said, I'm kind of rambling on. I apologize if I'm giving y'all too much information, but we do have a number of areas that we are looking into refine to correct so that they are backed and modeled based off of engineering information, studies, and criteria and data, as opposed to just starting and stopping at hard points. It's just a very lengthy effort. And until we have those data where we can make an engineering recommendation that's justified and supported by studies, we're not in a position to just change willy-nilly these layers that are governing our critical drainage areas, because we want to do so with some thought and some foresight and something to back it up, that we can, when you guys come and say, no, engineering studied this, we know this is right now. We're just not there yet on all of them.
Okay.
And with that, if y'all got any particular questions, I'm happy to try to answer if I didn't do a well enough job for you guys.
Right. Any questions from the board? Yes, sir. Ms. Dale?
The Black River, I mean, I'm assuming that's why this is in that. It's got to be close to that drainage. I mean, because we're talking about upstream drainage that might be the issue, not that it's going to flood the neighbors to the east and west or whatever. So, or the runoff from this particular site. It's more about blocking drainage upstream.
Mhm.
And how close to that is this? Can you make a determination that this isn't within that?
The fill being placed in this one would have no impact to blocking or damming the Black River in any way. If you're talking about floodplain storage capacity issues, I really don't see one there yet either. The unique part of this particular lot is that if you actually looked at the FEMA flood maps, the southern portion of this property is coastally zoned as it relates to FEMA's flood zone, meaning it has a V zone designation, and they're saying that the southern portion of this property is tidally influenced. Well, 2 foot more north of that southern portion, it changes to a riverine influence, an AE zone on that same FEMA map. So this property is really uniquely situated in both a coastal and potentially riverine. So it's kind of that.
Well, but I mean, like a property on a riverbank would be the same way. And you could
It
say,
would be.
well, I own property in the middle of the river and I want to put fill in it and it'll, you know.
It would
I
be
mean,
considered kind of similar with
Yeah.
when we're getting a storm from the south, it's pushing water up the river. We're getting
Yeah.
a storm on the north, it's pushing it down the river. But these layers and zones and these lines, for the most part, unless they've been studied, are drawn by usually any type of contour or LiDAR.
Mm-hmm.
They're not survey grade data. So to say if it's 10, 20 feet off, it's not incorrect a lot of the times.
I guess.
It's a unique one, to be completely honest, which is why we absolutely have it on the list to correct and to study and to get it fine-tuned, but has not been done yet.
Yeah, I mean, by far my biggest concern is just because they're speculating that it might be in the, wrong. It could still be in the drainage area of, an important drainage area. So I just want to make sure that like this is not causing drainage. I don't.
Yeah.
The
No,
on-site retention, I agree. The runoff from the site itself, I don't think is as big a deal as
Mm-hmm.
the potential blockage upstream. So.
And that's why, referenced in the staff report, they would require an as-built to show no adverse impacts to the adjacent area and adjacent neighbors. We would still verify that whether this variance is granted or it is not granted.
Yeah.
Neither way does that exclude that requirement from the ordinance.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It might help. This is about 800 feet from Black River, and at that point of Black River, the water is just generally dispersing into the swamp headed to the lake. So, I mean, it's a good question asked as to whether or not it might create resistance and impede north-south flow, but it just shouldn't, not the facts.
Okay. And staff, you're in agreement with that, with this last statement from Mr. Shane?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Yes, sir. Mr. Swindell?
Yeah, look, I'll just state that, I mean, it's unfortunate that this is an after-the-fact request. But the way I consider these things, I've stated this in the past, is if this request were in front of us even, prior to start of construction, I mean, the whole thing makes sense, like, I totally agree that you can't even define how small the impact is to overall drainage or how much water the lake's going to hold or that kind of thing. So, you got some work to do with a few of your neighbors who seem quite upset with the construction, right? We've seen some emails and stuff there. So, but none of that's really our problem here at this board. So, the information you guys have presented, I think I'm in support of it. So I'll vote for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I will. Ms. Sanders, anything?
Yeah, I think the fact that he actually started the process 98% done, and this was not something that brought up before he started. I think it'd be highly unfair to the gentleman to not approve this at this time.
Okay, thank you. And I guess I'd like to trumpet what Mr. Swindell said at this point in time. I don't think that this is going to be any impact whatsoever. I think the name of the game is to get the water flowing back and forth, depending on the storm surge or whatever is coming that way. But I don't think it's going to impact one way or the other as far as impeding the Black River or any others areas. So to me, I feel pretty comfortable. Now, we have to take two-step process to handle this. First off, our motion would have to, and it would have to be approved, our motion would have to be to overturn the staff's decision. And if that is overturned, at that point in time, then we'd have to take another vote to approve the variance. So I'd like to entertain a motion for overturning the staff decision if that's...
I just have one question.
Okay, sure.
Sorry. It's about the wetlands mitigation bank. That was part of the original fill agreement, was to purchase the mitigation. That was part of the original plan. Yeah. For the subdivision. Okay.
To the extent mitigation was needed for this site, that was part of the subdivision process. Now, excuse me, if you were to continue to, or if you were to excavate to the rear going to the south, you would need an additional permit and pay mitigation.
Yeah.
If this variance were not granted. But no, sir, we're in good stead with the Corps as it relates to this site.
Right.
No,
That was, yeah, I just wanted to clarify that
Yes, sir.
mitigation had already been handled.
No problem.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so again, we'll have to vote to, if we want to move forward, overturn the staff decision. And if that is completed and is correct, or is done, then at that point in time, we'll entertain a motion to approve the variances as submitted, or any other variance motion that you'd like to make. So, floor is open for anyone that would like to do that. Yeah, Ms. Dale, you.
I was just trying to figure that out, because if we overturn the decision, then is there a variance? It's just to overturn the decision. I don't think there's a variance, right?
Well, there is, because of additional fill that's going to be required to be placed, which I don't think has been mitigated, as I understand it, right, at this point in time. Right. So that would be for the additional fill that's in the, I think, the original portion of the description.
If I may, we will not be placing any more fill on site.
Oh,
It's for the fill to remain on site.
Oh, the ones-
So
okay.
Fill to remain and for it to be in conformity. So, I mean, we understand why the official's decision needs to be overturned.
Yeah. Right.
And then we would appreciate a variance so that our fill that's in place would be,
so the after the fact.
after the fact.
Gotcha.
But legal pursuant to the variance.
Got it. Okay. Everyone understand that? Okay. All right, Mr. Wendell?
I'll make that motion to overturn the parish official's decision.
Okay, I have a motion and a second by Mr. Sanders. Any further discussion on that? Okay, please vote with your devices, please.
Motion carries. All in favor?
Okay, fantastic. So moving forward then, as we were discussing earlier, the need for variance approval for the after-the-fact request.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to approve the after-the-fact request, considering the staff minutes also to submit an as-built plan that indicates no adverse impact to the adjacent properties.
Okay, do we have that, Helen? Okay, so, and Mr. Sanders? Okay, and seconded by Mr. Sanders. Any other further
I
discussion?
just wanted to ask one more time.
Sure.
So if it's in conformance with the original fill plan, why does it need a variance?
No, it is not.
It was not
not.
originally.
So the fact that they added some fill made it that it was not in compliance with the originally submitted
Okay.
plan.
Overturned
And
that decision.
basically what they're asking is to have, the variance they're asking for is to be able to keep the fill that's been added to the property.
Okay. And then the previous mitigation was for the subdivision, not for this fill.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, having seen none, let's please vote with our devices, please.
All in favor, motion carries.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Yes, sir. All right, give them just a second. Yeah, congratulations. So, thank you. Okay, moving forward with our agenda, are there any new business items that we need to address? Okay, haven't seen none. Oh, yes, sir. Congratulations. Yeah, good luck to you. Yeah,
You're welcome.
Yeah.
No problem.
yeah, yeah.
Good luck.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I kind of jumped the gun. I should have gone straight back into the other old business. And there is an item we still, I guess we've asked about several times for the
Yeah.
resolution that we've submitted for the...
So maybe I can
consideration.
let Ms. Erin Cook is here and she can confirm, that we're in the process of submitting some language to adjust the rear yard setback and front yard setback for the manufactured home. So it should be on the agenda for, so next Tuesday. So I'll be happy to send you a copy once we have it all together so you
Okay.
can review. And you're welcome to attend the planning commission meeting or, watch it or send any comments you may have as well, so.
Okay, all right. Anything else, anyone? Okay, any new business? Any new business?
We will see you next month at
Yeah.
2 p.m.
Yeah, how many cases do we have at this point?
2.
2 cases, okay.
Well, the third one is the one that was postponed. from last
Yeah,
month.
right, because we did 2 months.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. All right, well, entertain a motion to vacate and leave and adjourn this meeting. Okay, all in favor say bye. I'd like to do that. All right. All right, thank you.
Thank you.